Welcome to this episode of the Growthcast. It is me, Jackson Campbell, joined again with Dallas Pruitt for another Saturday extended cut, where I get the opportunity to sit down with Dallas and pick his brain on a specific topic, either one that he would like to share and talk about, one from the past week, or sometimes we get topics sent in from y'all, our listeners, that we'd like to address. Before we dive into the topic today, just a quick reminder to rate, share, and review the podcast. Subscribe to us on YouTube as well. We do put all of our podcasts up on YouTube. So if you would rather watch us talk to each other, you definitely have the ability to do that rather than just listen. But definitely subscribe, definitely share, rate, and review if you haven't yet. I'm very grateful to be able to do the Growthcast. Again, right before we dive in, I'd like to give an intro for our new listeners of the Growthcast and what we do here. Monday through Thursday, we have Dallas Pruitt, who gives a daily drip. It's a mindset principle to help us feed our mindset and help us get us going for the day. Very powerful episodes, and those drop again Monday through Thursday. Definitely tune in for those to help get your day going. Then on Friday, we have an Aloha Friday episode with Tyler Devereaux. Some of those episodes consist of me interviewing Tyler on a certain mindset or real estate topic. Sometimes those Aloha Friday episodes are with guests that Tyler likes to interview. Sometimes he sits down with other high-level real estate entrepreneurs. Sometimes he sits down with students of the Multifamily Mindset that have been through our program and that have had some success. So those are also very powerful episodes. Definitely tune in for those. And then on Saturday, you're tuning into today is the extended cut where I get to sit down with Dallas, like I said, and interview him on a certain mindset principle. But let's dive in here. Dallas, how are you today? How are you this morning?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing
dude.
Great. I'm grateful to be here, and I'm excited to jump into today's topic.
Me too. It's going to be a good
one.
one. Before we dive in, though, man, we've had some people share their year in review on what they've been listening to, whether that's music, whether that's podcasts, and we are so honored. We are so honored to see our name amongst some lists with some really big individuals. So big shout out to y'all that have been listening to us and have been tuning in daily to the Growthcast. We're very grateful and at the same time humbled, surprised, and just taken back by it all. So I
saw a couple last week of we were mentioning this a minute ago. Over 7,000 minutes listened to the Growthcast. People were sharing all these things and that excites me and fills my heart with gratitude. One, it excites me because that means there's a lot of people out there just striving to get better in whatever it is they're doing, and cultivating a better relationship with things like failure and challenges and setbacks and just feedback and criticism and all the things, right, that matter. It's been quite humbling. You said that list. That was pretty fun to see our names pop up as it wasn't even just on the list, but it was number one on that list. And that was pretty cool. But I wanted to utilize this 5 seconds here before we jump into today's topic to give some specific shout outs to people like Will and Jaden and Dwayne and Strat. Who am I missing? I literally need to drop every freaking name possible because
ego helps a ton.
Our team, you guys only know a few faces of our team on a regular basis. We are only as good as the collective sum of every single awesome human being that we have as part of our team. We're just lucky and get to, I guess maybe they probably think they're lucky that they're not on the mic, but I would say I'm lucky because I get to get on the mic. So just grateful for all those human beings, man. It makes this work that much more fulfilling, that much greater. And we would be nothing without you, the listener, and we would be nothing without the amazing team behind the scenes who, again, they probably feel lucky that they're behind the scenes. I think we're all getting closer and closer to our sphere of genius. And so just grateful for everybody.
Likewise. I feel the exact same way. Great team behind us that produces and puts on the podcast. Very, very grateful for them. And them being able to work in their sphere of genius is awesome. To watch them create and to watch them help grow the podcast to what it hasn't been before is special. So it's awesome. Extremely grateful for them. But awesome, Dal, let's dive in today. Let's dive into today's episode.
Yeah.
Today we want to talk about mastering the art of self-control. Self-control is a big thing. Discipline's obviously a big thing when talking about personal development and becoming your best self. But I want to flip it over to you, Dal. Why today? Why did you want to talk about mastering the art of self-control today?
Well, one, I wanted to talk about it because I think it's one of the most difficult things to do is to be disciplined. I also think it's a virtue that's maybe been a little lost because of all the options and all the shiny objects that exist in the world. It's easy to just kind of float around and not be disciplined. I've had a lot of experiences in my journey that have always come back to this, right? This core piece to the foundation of growth. I went on a run. I'll start by sharing a story. I went on a run this week with a student. One of our students, one of our business owners we work with, came over. And for those that don't know, I live in the West, and right now it's starting to snow. And a big snowstorm hit the night before this commitment we had made to go for a run. And so we woke up to a thick blanket of snow, and it was snowing. And it was 4:00 in the morning when this particular person got up. He got up prior to showing up to my house at 5 in the dark with a headlamp to get a workout in, a lift, and then he was going to go on a run with me. He didn't really know what he was getting into. And I turned over and I heard my phone buzz, and I had forgot to set my alarm. And so I woke up to a text. And this disciplined individual was sitting in my driveway. I had told him to be there technically at 5:15, that we would take off at 5:15. It's 5:10. He's like, "Hey, I'm in your driveway." And this person listening is going to laugh because he didn't know that he woke me up. I said, "Oh, awesome. I'm getting my clothes on. Just 2 seconds. I'm getting my clothes on." I was in my bed. So I rolled out, I don't even think I brushed my teeth, threw my clothes on, scrambled to find my headlamp. And I was like, "Hey, why don't you come in my house for a second?" And just kind of started chatting and bought some more time because I needed to take some pre-workout and like really wake up. And that's just a funny story. And one, it was an amazing experience, and we were disciplined. We went out. I didn't start with discipline, but I ended with discipline. We went out and we did exactly what we said we were going to go do. And no matter the snow, we just bailed and went for a 3-mile run. And it was awesome. But that's discipline. Discipline is so crucial. That individual is so damn disciplined. He's an amazing person, and he's on his way to doing more and more amazing things. But the reason he's successful, the reason he's seen the success that he has this early on in his career in multifamily specifically, is because no matter the challenge, no matter the setback, no matter the situation, rain, sun, snow, sleet, sick, the guy is disciplined. And he's a prime example to other people of what it takes, right? Author Trevor Moawad, right? What it takes. Well, it takes discipline. Growth takes discipline. And I wanted to pose a question. Cool. Is that cool, Jax? If I pose
I was going to ask you a question. Can I ask you a question about that experience?
Then we'll come back to the other question. Yeah, I've got a question for everybody today. Yep.
Awesome, dude. Your questions are the best. Better questions, better results. Dallas
thanks.
Pruitt. No, dude, this is awesome. No, dude, but as you're talking about this experience that you had with this individual, and it could have been very easy for you to be like, "Hey, bro, forgot to set my alarm. I'm just getting up. Hit the run without me. Let's get one later or next week." You know what I mean? It could have been very easy for you. That individual, I'm sure, would understand mistakes happen. We forget to set out, like it happens, whatever. Right. But in that moment, you decided to stick with your discipline and stick with what you said. So at that moment where you got the text, you're like, "Oh, I need to be outside in 5 minutes. Let me hurry and throw my clothes on." At that moment, what was going through your head? What actually got you out of bed in that moment?
So, one, I had a person that depended on me, and that was really important. That got me out of bed. Yeah.
So accountability partner, extremely important to help you with discipline. Okay. What else? What else got you?
Yeah. So that was first and foremost was I had somebody who depended on me, and I needed to make sure that I fulfilled on their dependence, or, whatever that dependence was. And, but the other thing that always comes to my mind, whether it's getting up early, it doesn't really matter. It could be any promise I've made to myself, right? If I don't fulfill on that promise, that thing might seem minimal, but it's a test. Every single one is a test, right? And if I don't pass that test, how much more likely, this is literally a conversation in my head, is how much more likely is it going to be that I don't pass the next test and the next test, right? Because excellence isn't something that is just cooked, in a microwave. Excellence happens over the course of a long period of time of just staying consistent and passing small tests, small minimal things, keeping small minimal promises. And yeah, it could have been easy to just text him and be like, dude, I don't feel good. I could have just straight up said, man, I woke up and I feel like crap.
Yeah.
But I knew I would be lying to myself. Again, that's a virtue, right? Integrity, keeping
Absolutely.
true to my promise that I kept to myself and that I had kept or it made to someone else as well.
Yeah.
And so literally through my brain, the conversation I have is like, hey, if you bail on this, what are you going to bail on next?
Yeah.
Hey, if you bail on this, what are you going to bail on next?
Yeah.
And I just can't afford to bail on promises that I've kept to myself. If I can keep a promise to myself, how can I keep a promise to anybody else? How my word is nothing. My word is nothing if I cannot keep a promise to myself, even if it's something as small as waking up and going for a run.
Dude,
because that bleeds into everything else.
Just to take it a level deeper, Dal, you're saying this without saying this, but you know that if you don't keep the promises to yourself, that promise to yourself, that chances are you're not going to keep the other promises to yourself. And then just going a level deeper, if you don't keep those promises to yourself, you don't accomplish what it is you're trying to accomplish, and you don't hit your why. You don't accomplish that, right? So it's in those moments. It's I think it's very important, Dal. I just kind of want to point this out really quick. I think it's very important that you, in that thought process, you physically remember to think it all the way through to your why. Yep. A lot of times, like I'm the same way, dude. And it's something that I've been trying to really implement more lately is seeing it all the way down to your why. A lot of times what gets me out of bed is that accountability. Like, is my accountability group and the people that I have in that accountability group, I'm so extremely grateful for, because it's that initial fire that gets me out of bed. Right. But again, that's not why I get out of bed. I didn't get out of bed because I have this group of people that's also getting out of bed. I got out of bed because I know that action is going to set me up for more success throughout the day. That's essentially getting me closer to my goal and my why and my definite major purpose. Right. So, but remembering that all the way through, you didn't get out of bed because Al or whoever it was waiting for you. Right. You didn't get out of bed for that. You got out of bed because you know the promises that you made are going to help you get closer to your why. And I just wanted to point that out for everybody to remember. You got to remember that's why you're doing it. Not because there's somebody waiting for you, not because you're going to let somebody down, but it's because your motive is actually your definite major purpose. Well, does that make sense? Sorry.
Absolutely. And that's there. Everybody that's listening right now has a very specific aim. Most, not all. Well, there's multiple aims. I believe that people that are listening, I know that people are listening just want betterment as a whole, but there's specific aims within that betterment journey for them. And they want to be a business owner. And they want their business to thrive. They want to do deals. They want to invest at a high level. They have specific numbers of units and cash flow and everything else that they're striving to hit. But they also want to be great parents or great, partners or whatever, it's all different. So the question I would ask is, where do you think that discipline is forged to be able to fulfill on whatever that is? Well, it's not in just the actions that you think it involves. It's actually the discipline that you forge through what we just broke down. My simple experience that seems so simple, so basic, right? Like just a story. That's actually where the discipline is forged to be able to become a thriving business owner. That's actually where the discipline is forged to become a great parent and keep the promises that you've made to yourself to do things a certain way, in a very specific way. If you can't even wake up and keep a promise to yourself on a basic level, on a simple level, what makes you think, are you naive enough to think that you're going to be able to be disciplined in creating a 6-figure, 7-figure business? Absolutely not. You're kidding yourself. And so my invite would be to quit kidding yourself, quit being naive, right? Like really, really come to the realization, live in reality that the discipline is forged through those simple, basic, easy, powerful things. Those things accumulate. That is the 1% principle. That is the aggregation of marginal gains. And it starts in the day-to-day. It starts in the morning. It starts in everything. And then it's reflecting back on that and saying, hey man, I kept that promise to myself. I said I was going to eat a salad for lunch today. I did that, right? I said I wasn't going to eat a treat today. I did that. Well, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but man, you compound that one day after 2 days. That's how you I don't mean to steal this, but like, that's literally how you 10X your life. Like you think it comes from, you think thinking bigger looks like dreaming up some crazy dream and like going out and finding the right person that exponentially does, creates this path for you. Well, no, like the way you think bigger and produce bigger is you just choose to eat like one salad a day for a meal, not 3, just 1. Just start with 1. The way you produce bigger is you decide you're going to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30, 4:30, whatever it is, 6. Hell, if you sleep until 10, then you're getting up at 7:30 because that's a stretch. But you do it. That's how you produce bigger, is you compound that 14 days in a row, 30 days in a row, and you tackle another small promise and you attach it to that next one. And that is how you produce bigger. You have to first think bigger. That's keeping a promise to yourself. And then actually producing bigger looks like fulfilling on what you think are basic, small things. They are not basic and they are not small, right? Small things produce big things. Absolutely. By way of small, what is it? By way of small little things, great things are accomplished. My invite, dude, is to be disciplined in the small stuff, right? So I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Just let me add on to that really quick. I think of like, as we're speaking here and as we're talking about this, it's almost like we're talking about, if you mess up in the morning, it's going to be really hard for you to get through the rest of your day, right? It's going to be really hard for you to make the right decisions through the rest of your day. And that's true. But one of the and as we're talking here, we're saying if you get up in the morning and you're disciplined with this thing, it's going to make it very easy throughout the rest of the day. That's also very true. But one thing that I do want to point out here is that if you do mess up, you don't have to wait for the next day to do the right thing.
No.
You just have to wait for the next right option and opportunity to make the right decision and keep that self-promise, right? I think a lot of times people get hung up on, oh, I didn't get up in the morning. I missed the gym. It's going to throw off my entire day. Yeah, is it going to make your day a little bit more difficult? I've noticed that in my life that it does when I don't keep that promise and when I don't make it to exercise in the morning. That being said, there's definitely days where I don't make it, but I do all of my other disciplines in the morning very, very, very good. And that still helps me throughout the rest of my day. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to point that out. Don't get down on yourself if you mess up with one thing. Just the very next opportunity for you to have that self-control and that art of self-mastery and be able to use that, make sure to take that opportunity and then mark it up as a win and forgive yourself for your past losses for sure.
Do not be perfect.
Right.
That's not what your goal should be.
Right. And your
goal should be to stack as many wins as you possibly can. And let me give a little tactic here actually to what you just brought to life. So if you do screw up, say, let's go back to my story. We'll give it some really physical, like we'll give it an actual situation. We go back to my story. I wake up. I don't get up. I do come up with an excuse. I do tell myself and the person that depended on me a lie. I said that so like derogatory, like how dare I? Well, guess what? I have done that. And so have you.
Yeah.
Right. All of us have.
Oh yeah. So I thought you were talking to the audience.
I am talking to the audience, but like, I just wanted, you were kind of like, oh shit. I'm like, no, yep. Everybody, not just you. Right. So, but, no. So what you can do, a tactic that you can do, and this is something that I do in my own life. This is something that I teach many people to do is break that thing up, chunk it out into thirds, right? You've got your morning, you've got your midday, and you've got your afternoon, right? Just dial that thing in and like break it down into percentages. Like, 70% of the promises you said or that you made to yourself, you fulfilled on in the morning. Great. Well, wipe the slate clean. At 11 o'clock, it starts over. The clock starts over. Like we all live within the confines or limitations of like what society or the way we were taught of like, well, the day's a loss. Like the day is the day. Well, like there's like 3 days inside a day. If you really want to create it, like you could run a day from 5 o'clock to 11, and then you can run another day from 11 to 4, and then from 4 to 9. You don't have just 3 days, or just one day. You technically could have 3 days, I mean, think about the amount of wins you could stack if you approached your day that way. Yeah. Well, what's cool is you can. Nobody's telling you can't. You've just believed a story from other people that
this is how you have to do it.
This is how you have to navigate it. Well, guess what? Buck the freaking system. That's not how you have to navigate it. There are 3 days within a day if you allow yourself to believe so. And that gives you more opportunity to stack more wins and to reset and get a clean slate way more often than 5 o'clock at the beginning of every single day. That's exhausting to live that way. If you're a semi-perfectionist, like I sometimes falter too, don't do it that way. Break it down. Chunk that thing out. You got 3 days in a day. Live it that way. That is not as exhausting. In fact, there's a lot of turnaround quite often, and you can swipe that slate clean 3 times a day. That's pretty bitchin'. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Another fantastic, I just kind of want to throw this out there and plug this in. Another fantastic way to help you be productive and have that art of self-mastery is this right here. I keep one on my desk to remind me to use it.
Growth guide. Man. Some type of journaling component, right?
Some type of journaling component, right? We're giving out I just wanted to throw out an actionable here is to use the growth guide, use some sort of strategic journaling system, but use the growth guide. That's really
that keeps you in the moment. That keeps you focused on what's going on right now.
And helps you prioritize your most importance, right? And make sure that you're getting the most important things done for sure.
Here's a good mantra for everything that we're talking about, right? Like this is something I wrote today, which is just a reminder of myself: wake up, show up, be present, give today everything you got. That's part of the key to mastering the art of self mastery. Is
say it one more time, but slower. You said it really slow.
So wake up, show up, be present, give today everything you got, and part of well, I won't even say part. The trap that we fall into that gets us further away from self-discipline is we hyper focus on the big picture and we don't live in the present. We don't live in the now. And so again, chunk that thing out. Just focus on the moment at hand, be disciplined in the moment at hand. And by being disciplined in the moment at hand and doing the work prior to, get clarity on where you're headed, that's how you're going to be able to get there, not by focusing on all the big stuff. I wanted to get to this question though. Like, I know we're running out of time and I wanted to share this question. You stole it. No, I'm just kidding. You didn't. I actually love where this went and I'm grateful. And I think it's been very impactful, but I did want to ask this one question because I do believe we got to talk about just like the principle of execution, the actuality of execution. Right. And, the question I have is, do I need to spend more time? This is for you, the listener. Do you need to spend more time searching for better information, or do you need to spend more time acting on the information that you already have? Do you need to learn more, or do you simply just need time to go out and execute? So many people think they need to learn more and they don't need to learn more. They just need to go out and execute. And what the problem is that it's a lot easier and it's a lot more comfortable to stay in this stage of acquiring knowledge. It's actually like one of the number one problems that people face this day and age is we can easily get trapped into just acquisition of knowledge. That's literally what happens all the time for most people, right? The majority. And I invite you literally to like look around you in your community, your community, your circle of influence, your friends, right? The majority of them know a lot of information. They'll share it with you all the time. But what the majority do not do is exactly that. They do not do. Right? So I literally just had a conversation with a good friend of mine, approached me. I'll give you a good example here. He's talking to me about, he's a nurse practitioner. He's one of my best friends. I grew up with him my whole life. He's one of the most respected people I know in my life. Look up to him. And he actually invested with us. And so meaning like he hadn't been involved in real estate at all, but he's worked with MFCP and he's a stud.
Awesome.
And this guy approached me and says like, hey, I would like to start a business of helping other medical professionals scale and grow like a side gig, because he's like, everybody wants to, there's all these opportunities, but nobody knows how to, right? And everybody talks about it. This is the point I wanted to get to. He says, everybody talks about it. Like everybody's always scheming. Everybody's learning about all these different opportunities, whether it's IV therapy or it's, Botox or,
Sure.
whatever. And I just thought, wow, you're one leg or one step ahead of the game already, because you're talking about like, how can I actually make that happen? And just to kind of dive this even further, we could have stayed stuck in that conversation for the last 2 weeks. Like, oh man, this cool idea and this cool idea. And what if we did this? And he messaged me and I said, hey, sounds like we need to figure out what next steps are. When can you go to lunch? And the response was more detailed ideas, more detail. And I'm just like, I have learned, this is the point I want to get at. I really want to drive this home, is like, I have learned through my experience that like, that's what the majority does.
Yeah.
That is exactly what the majority does right there. They get jacked about an idea. They talk about it. They build even more excitement around it. They learn more and more and more. And my invite would be, do whatever you need to do. Pray, gain clarity. If it's prayer, whatever you got to do to gain clarity. When you have clarity, meaning like, it's the opportunity. It's the opportunity right now. It's not one of a billion opportunities and could be cool. But when it is the opportunity, hyper focus on execution and start taking steps forward. Go out and do, because the majority don't do that. And why? Because to execute, it takes time. It takes energy. It takes resilience. It takes persistence. It takes discipline, which is what we're talking about today. It means that you do need to sweat the small stuff. It means that life will be strenuous. It will be hard. It means there's going to be more work. It means that you will have to temper your ambitions and all the other ideas that pop up. That's what execution means. Execution isn't easy, but just because it isn't easy doesn't mean it's not very possible. It doesn't mean that it's not very likely. It doesn't mean that it's extremely probable. The question I have is, are you going to be disciplined? Are you committed to the process of doing it? And that's the real question I would love everybody to ask themselves right now, because a lot of you are sitting on pretty awesome hotbeds of very probable, very highly likely probability of success. The key factor in all of it is you. It's not the opportunity. It's not that it's not a good idea. It's a freaking badass idea. Whatever the ideas you have, right now, all of you, like collectively, I guarantee they're pretty awesome. And I guarantee they're very probable and very likely. And they will happen. They're going to happen for the people who master this core component to success. And that is self-mastery and self-control. Sorry, the mastery of self-control.
Right.
Discipline, being disciplined. And where does it start? Coming back full circle. It just starts with those little promises you're making to yourself right now. And if you're not fulfilling on those little promises, follow that formula that we addressed a little bit earlier and start delivering on that, because through doing that, you will gain confidence. And through gaining confidence, you'll be more apt to tackle something a little bit bigger, a little bit scarier, because you have shown yourself that if you tell yourself you're going to do something, Dallas Pruitt does it, right? And that is something that changed my life forever and set the foundation for growing my business. Was when I decided I was going to get my body back in shape, when I was going to get up every day, when I was going to eat good, when I was going to, and I did all those things. That just basically told me like, oh, well, I can up the ante. If I can do that, like, then I'm going to make this promise to myself and I'm going to see how this works. And I'm just going to stay consistent. And it literally is a formula that works for everything. It's just not easy. So
no. It's easy. It's simple. It's not that it's not easy, but it's simple and it's executable, which is the big thing, right?
Yeah, totally.
Dallas, thank you so much, man. Such powerful stuff. And I think that's a great way to end. So powerful and such a great reminder and such great questions. So thank you. Thank you, man. Thank you everybody for listening. Again, Dallas, I don't know. Is there anything else you wanted to say as we wrap up here?
Yeah. Go freaking make a promise to yourself right now, whatever the freaking promise it is, and go fulfill on it within the next 24 hours. If it's to eat a salad for lunch, freaking do it, but have that conversation with yourself and get in the habit of committing, get into the habit of committing to something.
Being conscious of those things.
Slowly just continue to up the ante on whatever those commitments are and enjoy the ride, because the fruits that come from it, you will never be the same. So whatever it is, go make a promise to yourself. I don't give a crap what it is. If it's to freaking go for a 1 mile walk or a 5 mile run, push yourself, make a promise, go out, fulfill on it, and then wake up and do the exact same thing tomorrow.
Awesome. Thank you, Dallas. Thank you, everybody, to tuning in and listening to this episode of the Growthcast. We are extremely grateful for you for being here and tuning in. Please don't forget to share, rate, and review if you haven't yet. Very, very grateful. Have a great rest of your day, y'all. Take care.